You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 192. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Jeff Barnard, Planet Smasher. It's something I do on the side. Don't judge me.
Comic Reflections is brought to you by Rhymes with Geek. You can find our show and many other cool podcasts like the all-new Anti-Fanboy, Super Podcast of Magnifico, and Ultimate Facepalm at rhymeswithgeek.com. And if you enjoy this program, please subscribe to us on either iTunes or Stitcher.
All right.
Yeah, so we got some world's finest team-ups to talk about.
And they're pretty good.
They are. And most people think of World's Finest, the book where Superman and Batman team up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the three issues that we're going to talk about today, there's not a single team up between Superman and Batman.
I don't think they're a good team, normally. Batman and Superman.
They're kind of the idea of them teaming up sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Like what a great idea, Superman and Batman together. But yeah, it's kind of hard.
I read a good one that I enjoyed.
Yeah, it's hard, and it's usually them doing separate things, working on the same case.
Yeah. You go check the library, Batman, and I'll go stop this planet.
Yeah.
What else can you do? But this is kind of interesting, though.
Yeah. Let me see. The first issue we're going to talk about today is World's Finest Comics number 208. It's the December of 1971 issue, and the lead story is called Peril of the Planet Smashers, written by Len Wein, pencils by Dick Dillon, and inked by Joe Giella. And this is Superman teaming up with Dr. Fate, the mystical hero of Earth 2.
The mystical master of magic. Earth 2.
Sorry.
I'm reading the book here.
Oh, is that what it say right there? That's funny. But yes, I love it when anything to do with Earth 2 or the other Earths in the pre-Crisis DC universe, because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Super fun. So what's Dr. Fate up to?
Oh, he's stopping a robbery.
Mm-hmm.
And these crooks have this weapon that can blow up a city. And then he solves it, and then that's it. So we don't hear about him again.
They have these guns that can blow up the city or whatever. And he just uses his magic to remove the firing pin.
He takes away the trigger.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
All right. So he gets a...
Now, Dr. Fate is also Dr. Kent Nelson, surgeon. He gets a call on his beeper while he's talking to the police, like wrapping up the case. And he says, gotta go. So he goes back to the hospital, and there's an alien there waiting for him, which is weird.
This is when a beeper was science fiction. There's beepers, and, rich people had them. Doctors and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Later on, everybody had them. Now, no one has them. So.
But there was a time, like the 90s, everybody had beepers. I had one.
You did?
Well, it was called a pager, but yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't call it beepers quite. And then you called them like beepers in like the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, I think
but by the 90s, we called it a pager.
It sounded better.
Some people still have them, but it's like, why? Because you can get all that with a cell phone.
People who don't want the work to know their cell phone number, maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
All right, you can understand that people wouldn't want... Oh, yeah, that'd be hard to do, though.
I mean, because I remember a period where people had pagers and cell phones, when cell phones were still very new. Like the flip phones.
Yeah.
Although there's some people still have flip phones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just got a smartphone this year,
right.
And I love it. I'm like, I don't know how I lived without it.
Yeah, that's the deal. And I went from, I don't need a cell phone. This is very useful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need a smartphone. Oh, this is very useful. And I don't leave the house without it.
No, me neither.
It says keys, wallet, cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes clothes.
Actually, sometimes I'll go out to lunch while my phone's charging at home or something. Even though I could take my phone and charge it in the car.
Yeah, even then, though, kind of feel weird.
Yeah. It's funny how things change, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't get a cell phone until I was 25.
Mm-hmm. I think I was 40, but I'm old.
But for someone born in 1982, like me, wait until you're 25 to get a cell phone. That was like 2006, 7. So,
yeah. Okay, alien in the operating room. And he tells the alien is unconscious, but tells Dr. Fate. Well, what's his name?
Kent Nelson.
Dr. Nelson, that the world's about to end. And we don't know why he tells him that. It's never explained.
And it's very strange.
Hmm.
So meanwhile, back on Earth 1, Superman is thinking and whining to himself, "Oh man, it sure is great how there's no more kryptonite anymore, but I hate how I'm vulnerable to magic. If only there was a way I could not be vulnerable to magic, then I'd really be a Superman. Why don't I visit, and then the light bulb comes on. Why don't I visit Earth 2 and talk to Dr. Fate? He's a magic guy."
First, he goes to see Satana, and she says, "I can't help him." Because if they figured out how the magic works, it doesn't work anymore, which is odd.
Strange.
Yeah. Okay. Earth 2, home of the legendary Justice Society of America.
I love the Justice Society.
Right, so Superman comes at the nick of time, so they have this question, what's going on, so they figure out, they hook up a gizmo to the alien's brain so they can see what he's thinking about.
Yeah.
He's thinking about his Mayan pyramids and Stonehenge.
Where the demons dwell, where the banshees live, and they do live well.
Yeah.
So.
Nobody knows who they were or what they were doing. Their legacy remains. I love that.
It's loads of fun. Yeah.
All right, so they meet these aliens in lotus positions, hovering in the air, and the aliens kick their butts just by thinking about it.
Yeah.
So,
Where they trap Dr. Fate in a giant Venus flytrap and stuff.
And he breaks out somehow, I guess, with magic.
Yeah, magic is the answer. That's the problem with Dr. Fate or Doctor Strange. Oh, they just magic the problem away.
Yeah. And Superman gets attacked by a sandy Viking-looking dude, or Saxon.
And then he uses his heat vision. It's made of sand, and so he uses his heat vision to just turn it to glass, and smashes the holy living crap out of it.
Yep.
Which is fun.
So they don't know what to do. So there's a bunch of terrible. The world seems to be shrinking.
Weird.
And things are going out. Here we have a skyscraper falling down, and Superman just has 3 children. A skyscraper is going to have a couple of thousand at least. So
look, they're just showing a panel of him rescuing people.
Yeah.
So all this hoodoo is happening on Earth 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So they go back to the alien and they look again and says, "Oh, because of shrinking." They're kind of like Buddhists, space Buddhists, who, and if they get the Earth, which is the only planet that can do this, if it shrinks down to a size, it can give them nirvana. A perfect cosmic junction. It's always Earth, so it's very
convenient.
Earth-centric.
Isn't that where we live?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why. If it was on, Thanagar, we wouldn't care as much.
Right.
So.
That's one of the funny things about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was Earth, mostly harmless. Alright, so they're fighting and it doesn't work. They get their butts kicked again because now there's 3 of them. I guess the one that was injured recovers and now they're fighting him.
The 3 aliens.
3 aliens.
Okay.
So Dr. Fate gives his magic power to Superman. So Superman's able to kick their butt.
That's fun. And then Superman puts chains around the world and drags it somewhere else.
Yeah, one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah, the cover is cool looking.
Yeah.
But, jeez. Yeah.
That's the problem. I mean, like, if Superman can move planets around, that's too much. So.
He's complaining that he used to be able to move planets around. Now, a juggle with one hand. Now he can't move a puny continent.
Yeah. Like, you don't really have a lot to complain about, Superman.
Yeah. The thing is, I was thinking that, man, he must really pull his punches against humans.
Yeah.
I mean, more so than I thought. I mean,
the amount of control that you would have to have, what's the word for like when you hold back? The amount of kind of
reserve. Or...
Yeah. It's it's hard to fathom, because if the guy can lug planets around, well, yet you see him punch people. Like, how do you know how much pressure to use without vaporizing somebody?
Yeah, I mean, it's like using a locomotive to
haul a bag of groceries.
Yeah, or hit a pool cue or something. So, all right, but then Superman says, "Well, it's best that I have the crisis is over." Superman says, "Nah, I decided I don't need to
cure his weakness to magic, which Dr. Fate could totally fix." He says
it'll be difficult, but possible. Okay,
and the reason is, Superman's like, no, I need to be able to have a weakness because reasons.
Yeah, if you're invulnerable and omnipotent, you become a god, and
I mean, he basically is. I mean, that was
more powerful than most gods, and he could kick Zeus's butt. And
oh yeah, I mean, yeah. The thing about they had to there was an interesting retcon about Superman and also Dr. Fate and the Spectre, that the reason they didn't just go over and win, the three of them didn't just go over and like end World War II, because they're basically gods, the three of them are, was because Hitler had the Spear of Destiny, and if any of those guys went to Europe, Hitler would have power over them to control them, and so they couldn't go.
That's pretty cool.
Couldn't go anywhere near there. There's actually a great story in All-Star Squadron where Hitler, because he has the Spear of Destiny, takes control of Captain Marvel Jr. and Mary Marvel, and they fight the Justice Society. Which we'll be reading for the show.
Oh, cool! I'm looking forward to
in the future.
That issue?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a two-parter, but I have the second issue of that.
They should have sent a Jewish superhero over there, and I think that Hitler said, "I'm not going to touch that."
Huh?
I mean, if they send a Jewish superhero, maybe Hitler wouldn't want to mess with them.
I don't think Judaism really has anything to do with it.
No. I mean, does it automatically do it, or does Hitler have to say, "I'm taking control over you"?
No, if you
automatic.
Here's the thing: if you have superpowers, and you they're either magic based or you have weakness to magic, like Superman does. The wielder of the Spear of Destiny can control you.
Okay, but Hitler want to control a Jewish superhero.
Maybe. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's not like, because I mean, like, Plastic Man could go over there and not have any problems, but
okay,
because it's not magic.
Now the mutants can go with it.
Well, they could have. There's no mutants in DC Comics.
No.
We call them metahumans.
Okay. All right.
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
So we have a couple of Golden Age reprints as backup stories, and the first is called "The Inside Story of Robot Man," and it's a reprint from Detective Comics number 138 from back in 1948, and it was written by by Joe Samixon, and with art by Jimmy Thompson. Okay. So Robot Man was, and this isn't the Robot Man from the Doom Patrol, it's an earlier character, but it's another guy who had an accident and he's got his brain put in a robot body.
So, okay, it's Paul Dennis, right?
I think so, yeah.
But he has a human disguise, or because they show him as a human here.
Or is that a flashback?
Paul Dennis, alias Robot Man, Paul's is a watchman at work.
Oh, I guess he does have a human disguise. I don't know that much about this character, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't care too much out. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
He shows up in All-Star Squadron, and that's cool, but...
Yeah, he gets his butt kicked by just a regular mob.
Don't they drop a crane or something on him?
No, they grab him with a crane, and they throw him against a brick wall, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And the police said, "Well, how can we put him back together? He's all smashed up." And the gang is really happy, and they're singing songs. It's which
is pretty funny. But so the scientists or the police scientists, they find there's blueprints for Robot Man hidden in his heel.
Yeah.
And so they use them to put him back together.
Right. That's just good, I guess.
Because he had some, Robot Man kind of relays in a flashback that one time he got hit by a car, and he got, kind of like split in half, and he took him a while to kind of get himself righted. And so to prevent any problems, if he was like really messed up, he wrote out the blueprints and hid them somewhere on his body.
He has a human-like face.
Yeah.
Which I don't like.
No?
It should be more Robot Man, but...
Okay.
But I guess he's got to disguise himself, so he's got to put it on there.
Yeah.
Alright. The way Robot Man catches the crooks is he's walking around and he sees these crooks with the loving cups. Says, we'll take this to Dirk McGurk, who is the leader.
Yeah.
And I love Dirk McGurk.
What in the what cup? What did you say?
It's a loving cup, or kind of, like
I don't know what that is.
When you win something, they give you a big, like a vase. It's called a loving cup.
Like a trophy or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
I never heard that expression
to
before.
Dirk McGurk. So,
Dirk McGurk. Who's a real jerk.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can't think of any more rhymes. So.
Yeah.
What a ridiculous thing. I mean, it's actually not a loving cup. It's a huge bowl.
Okay.
And so why would you want a big bowl like that?
I don't know.
It's sort of for salads.
Who knows?
So, okay, so he comes in and beats the crap out of him. But that's the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The cool thing about the mobsters is they can't speak very well, so they speak mobsterese.
Yeah.
I thought that was amusing. Yeah. How much the junk man pay for him by the pound?
Yeah.
All right. Ghost Patrol.
Okay, so yes, there's another Golden Age reprint with the Ghost Patrol. And the story, I learned something from this story. Okay, the Ghost Patrol, first I'll give a backup before I do the credits. They were a trio of pilots or airmen that were killed, and they came back as ghosts and used their ghostly abilities to help fight World War II.
Yeah, although they're not fighting World War II here. They're fighting crime.
Right, it's Fred, Slim, and Pedro, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Slim is a fat guy.
Well, that's always a joke. Tiny is a big... they call the big guy Tiny. And,
right.
So...
but yeah. Anyway, this story is called The Spectacular Crimes. It's reprinted from Flash Comics number 96 from 1948. And it was written by John Broome, penciled by Carmine Infantino, and inked by Bob Oxner. Now, I learned the title comes from a kind of advertising campaign called A Spectacular. And it's like using like large props to kind of have a big showy kind of stage it like having a happening like they would do in the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, like the Macy Day balloons are probably spectacular.
But if it somebody just shows up and throws an advertising stunt with a spectacular just on any old day, it's enough to make the papers.
Those guys with the wavy hands on the side of the road is spectacular, I guess. A small one.
I think it's a remnant of it.
Yeah.
But
they do this very much.
Or
circuses still do, I guess. But
do you remember when there would be large billboards with like a moving parts? Like someone eating a sandwich or a hand waving. They don't have that anymore. But I think that would qualify also.
I think on the 50th anniversary of King Kong, they put a huge inflatable King Kong on Empire State Building.
Didn't they really?
Yeah. That is so cool.
It's
great movie. The original.
Yeah, of course.
Crappy. Yeah, both of them. The remakes were crappy.
I didn't see the one from just a few years ago.
It was okay. It was pretty, but it was just kind of... I didn't give a damn. I didn't care about... the first movie, I really cared what happened to King Kong.
Yeah. And everybody in the cast is great, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but he's a hero of the show, and he's going through all this crap to get this girl, and she doesn't want him.
Yeah.
So, and it's just gorgeous, beautiful, just a wonderful movie.
Oh, I love it. It's one of my favorites ever.
Okay.
So the Ghost Patrol, man.
Yeah.
I'm really not into ghosts.
Neither am I.
I mean,
I don't believe in them. I don't think they're interesting.
with rare exception, I just don't like ghost characters in comics. I like the Spectre and Deadman, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. So the Ghost Patrol just picked up these boars. I don't know why, and
wild boars.
apparently so.
Okay.
They don't really explain what's going on. Oh, they're scaring people.
Okay.
Wild boars are a real problem now. They're really big, and they
Sure.
really came back. So that's weird.
Yeah. No, razorbacks. They're a dangerous animal. I know.
Yeah. Okay. So we come to this advertising company who does spectaculars.
Mhm.
We were talking about earlier, and he's having trouble, and he has a shifty employee that he doesn't tell what's going on or something.
Our villain revealed already. Duh.
Yeah.
You know?
So they use this villain is in charge of this gang, and they use the spectaculars to break into banks and stuff like that and take the money. And then
Was that what you do when you break into a bank? Take the money?
yeah, don't make a deposit. So, so it's they have all kinds of powers. They can expand their arms, and I mean, like Mr. Fantastic and
Sure.
Plastic Man, and
But because they're an ectoplasmic form, it's very malleable and they can do all kinds of stuff.
yeah,
So that's kind of interesting, but
yeah. I just
The fact
Pedro
that
was
they're
kind of interesting.
the fact is that they're ghosts. They can't get in any real jam,
Right.
So
Which is, yeah. And Superman's having this trouble. You got to be worried about the character,
right.
which is one of the problems with the Star Wars prequels is that the Roger robots were so laughable. You could not. It would be impossible for them to kill the main characters. So who cares?
Mm.
So
Oh, that's why. I thought you were saying like, oh, well, we've seen the future. We know who lives, so it doesn't
No,
matter.
no.
I thought that's where you were going
no,
with
no.
that.
But it's
Yeah.
But it can't be killed, and it's kind of dumb. So,
Yeah.
oh well.
So it was the shifty employee, right?
Yes.
Wow, big surprise.
I should have been a bigger. You ought to do that.
And then it wasn't the shifty guy at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I've seen that too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The bait and switch, it happens.
Yeah. Oh, this is my favorite. What's coming up is my favorite world's finest. Intriguing idea.
Okay, well let me give the credits then. Excuse me. We're going to talk about World's Finest number 209, which is the February of 1972 issue. And the lead story is called Meet the Tempter and Die. It was written by Mike Friedrich, penciled by Dick Dillon, and inked by Joe Giella. And it's Superman and Hawkman.
Yeah.
And Hawkgirl's in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And Lois Lane.
Oh yeah. So we open up with Hawkman.
Yeah. And
He's in.
punching some guys.
Yeah.
And the Tempter comes up, and I guess Tempter is Satan
Yeah, that's the impression I gathered too.
because he's a villain, a new villain as old as time itself.
Yeah, and it's
narrowed
like,
it down.
and the whole story, it seems like he just wants to get people to do bad stuff,
Yeah.
and he's not really after anything other than to cause.
Right,
bad
because he's
stuff.
not after money or
Yeah, so I'm like-
world domination. He just wants trouble.
Yeah, so that was the impression I got, that it's Satan.
Pretty cool. So the Tempter, he is invisible and you can't see him or feel him or anything like that, but he tempts people to doing something bad. He tempts Hawkman to kicking the butt out of somebody.
Yeah. So does this whole story take place in Midway City?
Yeah, most of it does.
Okay. So I had to look up on my phone. I was trying to remember the city that Hawkman operates out of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the Tempter is dressed like a Spanish caballero or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, but
He looks like he's going to try and sell us fine Corinthian leather.
Yeah, I love that. Remember the Star Trek where the original series, and that's the only time if I say remember Star Trek, I mean the original series.
Okay.
So there's this Squire of Gothos or something like that.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I remember that one well. The keep talking.
Oh, this guy is like a English squire, and
I remember.
and the Enterprise crew goes down there, and he seizes them, and he has super magic, and and they can't do anything about him. So
Right.
it's pretty cool, and you want to really smash his face in. He's
Yeah,
one of those
Trelane is the character.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
great actor who does it too.
Yeah. Was it William Campbell?
Is it?
I think that's right.
Hmm.
Let me look.
Man, I'll start the William Campbell fan club.
I've seen him in some other stuff. If it's either William Campbell or hang on. Yeah, it's William Campbell.
Mhm.
That's Trelane. He's in he's in other movies. He's actually in Francis Ford Coppola's first film, Dementia 13,
Oh, okay.
which is an enjoyable little thriller. It's
Mhm.
black and white from the
Yeah.
60s, but it's a good one. And I saw him in this other movie where he was like a beatnik, or he's a vampire who's like killing beatniks. And I can't
so
remember.
he's a hero.
Basically.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of that movie, but it's
Yeah.
like Trail of Blood or something goofy
Yeah.
like that. That's not what it's called, but
Beatnik Beatdown. Yeah, man, that's a great. I should be making titles of movies.
right?
All right. So so the Tempter is going to Superman and Hawkman and Hawk Girl and tell them to do bad stuff, and it's really, really well done, and I'm really impressed. Oh, there's an house ad for Army at War, Sergeant Rock. So it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I always enjoy Sergeant Rock.
Okay, so one of the Kandor is here, and
The Bottle City of Kandor?
yeah, as opposed to the seaside city of Kandor.
Well, I just
and
want
the
to be
Midwest
clear.
city of Kandor. Man, that'd be great to name your city Kandor. Kandor, Oregon. It'd be wonderful instead of Portland. Portland's boring. Like Kandor.
We have a boring Oregon,
That's right.
which is funny.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Tempter just goes around and this. Hey, you're gonna really beat that guy up, man. He's dissing you, and that's about all the thing is. But it's really cool. And Superman gets mad, and he almost takes out Midway City with a rock. He's gonna throw it so hard it makes an atomic explosion.
Oh, man.
So he stopped. Well, he stops himself, which is kind of cool. And I guess they never realized that there's a Tempter. It's odd. I think I've never seen.
Yeah, because no one in the story is aware of the Tempter and his villainy.
Yeah, we have seen villains. No one knew who they were, but this time there is no one knows there's a villain.
Yeah.
And that is interesting.
Yes. It's very atypical.
Yeah, might be totally unique. Yeah, so Superman's about to destroy Midway City, and he decides not to. So, I'm making a fool of myself. This is awful. So,
The Tempter, the power to make people feel ashamed of themselves later.
by the love of a single female, I have been beaten. Totally, literally beaten. So,
Okay.
yeah, okay. Well, not bad.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So, in this, we have another Golden Age reprint as a backup.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, it's Batman. Batman shows up. It's interesting to do an episode of World's Finest without a Batman team up, but that's okay.
Yeah, I prefer it,
as we've established.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this story is called Tweedledum and Tweedledee, and it's a reprint from Detective Comics number 74 from 1943, and it was written by Don Cameron and penciled by Jerry Robinson and Bob Kane, and inked by Jerry Robinson and George Roussos.
Yeah, I wonder if Penguin was around at this time.
Yes.
It was before this.
Yeah. No.
They're kind of very penguin-y.
I'm going to double check. Go ahead and continue.
Okay. So what's going on? There's a a fur warehouse being ripped off, and Batman and Robin show up, and Robin says, "I'm gonna disable you," which is an awful pun. Sable is a mink, is a fur.
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
Never heard of that animal.
Really, mink, sable, or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
No, the Penguin first appeared in Detective Comics number 58 back in December of 1941.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's already around.
yeah, but these. Okay, so we see Tweedledum,
Yeah.
and he's almost round as a ball. I think, and God, what an evil-looking grin, and just bizarre-looking. He's but very, very intelligent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So at the other end of town, there's another robbery by a big fat guy, and Robin says, "How did he get over there so quick?" He was driving a truck.
Right?
Him and his gang.
Yeah.
So they get their butts kicked by twice. Batman and Robin.
By the hench persons, not by Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
No, Tweedledum zaps him with with something.
Like a
I don't
cattle
know.
prod or something?
Yeah, I was gonna say umbrella, but it's not an umbrella. But yeah. So it's just really well drawn.
Well, yeah, Jerry Robinson, he's
Just yeah.
he's probably most people's favorite Golden Age Batman artist.
hmm Yeah, well, it's certainly mine. This is I don't know, it might be the best Batman I've ever seen.
Yeah, Golden Age, Jerry Robinson, Silver Age, Dick Sprang, or Carmine Infantino. That tends to be
Yeah.
the
It's
favorites.
kind of grotesque looking, and it's just, I don't know, it's awesome.
Okay.
All right, so of course they win.
Who?
Batman and Robin, of course.
Oh wait, what about there's a case. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There's a
Oh.
case of mistaken identity. They figure out that these two guys are cousins, but they look very similar.
Right.
Tweedledum and Tweedledee, they stage this great thing of to rob a costume ball,
Right.
and of course they show up as Lewis Carroll characters,
hmm
including a couple of their henchmen as the March Hare and the Mad Hatter, which is neat.
Yeah, and it's creepy looking too.
Yeah, that tends to be the way when villains kind of do the storybook character
Yeah.
thing.
It's super cool. I'm just amazed. Just really, really
Yeah.
well done.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I wasn't as into this as other Golden Age Batman stuff I've read. I typically do like Batman in that period, but yeah, and I'm
Okay.
glad you enjoyed it. So we have one more issue to talk about, and it is World's Finest number 212, which is the June of 1972 issue. And the lead story is called "And So My World Begins." It was written by Denny O'Neil, penciled by Dick Dillon, and inked by Joe Giella.
Yeah.
And this is great. Superman teams up with the Martian Manhunter,
Mhm.
who had been absent from DC for several years. He left the Justice League to seek out his Martian brothers.
Yeah. There's this alien building appearing and disappearing. So Superman checks it out and goes inside and gets beaten up by the Martian Manhunter. So
And this is so cool because you actually see Superman bleed.
yeah.
Which, first of
Yeah.
all, you never see Superman get beat up so much.
Mhm.
And it's a very rare to someone to draw his blood. So-
Right. Yeah, and that's cool. So, John Johns, is it Jones or is it how do you pronounce it?
So sometimes it's said Jean, but it's just John Jones.
John Jones, the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
He wakes up and says, "Oh, what's going on? Did I hit you?" And so he explains that Mars is totally empty of people, and they ran away from these evil aliens.
Yeah.
Why do they call Superman in the Justice League and all that? Why,
Because,
that's a comic book.
yes. And also, him leaving to go and seek out the other Martians was a way to write the most boring member of the Justice League out of the series.
He didn't have. I think he's kind of fascinating. I haven't been really impressed, but it's an interesting idea.
I like him, and the guy has a lot of powers. He probably has as many or more powers than Superman, and he's very physically powerful too. But yeah, he just it's strange that maybe the second most powerful guy in the Justice League is also the least popular.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
I guess you can. A little boy or girl couldn't. Ooh, I'd like to be Martian Manhunter. No.
Yeah, and also the big difference is, okay, let's compare. As far as powers levels and power sets go, he's comparable with Superman. But what Martian Manhunter has never been able to do really is to carry a book. Although he's had his own series, but not real long, and certainly an ongoing backup feature in Detective Comics. But he doesn't have the interesting supporting cast that Superman does. Right. He doesn't have a Lois or a Jimmy or a Perry White.
Does he have anything? No, I never. We read him.
We read one story recently, and we'll read another one very soon.
Last week?
A couple weeks ago, I think. It's interesting that we get Martian Manhunter in kind of one big lump.
Yeah, there's nobody in there except his boss man, which was kind of interesting. But that's check out this thing with the aliens.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's kind of cool, and he kind of, I don't know,
he might be a good second banana.
Yeah, and that's all he is. He's a good second banana, but I think,
and he's always too powerful for a second banana.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem. If you're going to be second banana, you can make it more interesting by having human foibles, like Green Arrow. But
and Green Arrow is weak. He's a human being. He can shoot he can shoot an arrow, a bow and arrow.
Yeah, but this Martian guy who's kind of weird and not very human because he's a Martian. With all these powers, I mean, he's super strong. He can fly. He's invulnerable except for fire. He can shapeshift. He's telepathic. He can be invisible or intangible. Jeez, this guy has a lot of powers.
You know what they should do is make him a villain. They probably already have, but that'd make a villain worthy of Superman.
Yeah,
maybe far more worthy than Lex Luthor or Brainiac.
Like if John Jones became evil somehow.
Yeah.
Like he decided to throw in with Darkseid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, sure.
But I mean, he's a nice guy. But that's all he is. Yeah. Nice guys are boring a lot of times.
Yeah. I mean, even Superman has a lot of scenes where he's kind of being a jerk. Right. Superman does good and he does the right thing. But he'll also pull, like, in the Silver Age stuff, it's like, he'll pull pranks on people.
Yeah, why not?
He messes with Lois because she asked for it, kind of, in her way, and Lana too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I want to be careful how I phrase that, but yeah. Oh, anyway, okay. Yeah. So anyway, go ahead. We'll just carry on.
All right. So they get into the building and they find out that it's the Matrix, kind of, and they're
explain.
The aliens are sucking the life force and
stuff out of the Martians. Yeah. They're kind of keeping them captive, and it's fueling their war machines.
Yeah.
But
and here's Betelgeuse shows up.
Yeah, and she's this Martian babe.
Not just any babe. It's John Jones's girlfriend.
Yay!
Yeah. So
does it make him any more interesting having a girlfriend?
This is interesting.
Okay.
What happens?
I did enjoy this.
I did too. Somehow. Okay, well, let's just go on. So she says, well, I know what's going on. I'll lead you there. Superman says, okay, Martian man, you wait in this ditch.
What?
Yeah, wait in this ditch and we'll be back for you. And
seems kind of strange.
Yeah. So he goes off with Betelgeuse, and he grabs her and chokes her to unconsciousness.
Superman does.
Yes. So he takes her on, and he knew that there was an ambush. Did you see how he knew there was an ambush?
Yeah, because she knew she was telling John Jones how wonderful she was when she fought Superman, or when he fought Superman. But how did she know about it? Because she was in
I
league
didn't
with
catch that,
in league
and
with
I
the
was
aliens.
utterly shocked when I read that. And
Yeah,
that happens very, not very often.
Sure.
That I'm shocked or surprised, and I like that sensation.
no, it was good. I mean, come on, it's Denny O'Neil. The guy knows how to write a good plot.
Yeah. All right. So so they fight against the bad aliens, and they unhook the Martians, and that's what the Martian Manhunter does. And then all these tanks come, the huge, massive tanks that the bad guys have, turn on the bad guys because they got all that Martian brain juice in them.
Oh,
So-
yeah, because it actually kind of took in their thoughts and who they were.
Mm-hmm.
So these aliens were idiots,
Yeah.
and their war machines turn on them, and so the Martians become free, and they've defeated their subjugators.
Mm-hmm. And one of the aliens follows Superman into the magic building that keeps going back and forth. I don't know why it does that.
Yeah. So Superman gets teleported away, and we're kind of like left to kind of.
Well, he gets and the guy and the huge alien guy is kicking his butt. Oh, and then here we are. We're back on Earth, and the other place we didn't tell you was the Red Sun.
You know, that's a really important plot deal that maybe we should have mentioned right away.
Yeah, sorry, but so it made. Let's see, I think.
The whole thing was he and Martian Manhunter were weak. Superman didn't have powers, and John Jones barely had any powers.
Right.
Uh,
Actually, I think he had more power, so yeah.
yeah.
A little bit more, but not still weak.
Mm-hmm.
But Superman and the alien go to Earth, and so Superman beats the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah. And so I think they've said in the very end, like, we're going to explore later what happened with John
Actually,
Jones.
I'm kind of interested when the world happened, because that was interesting. It was very nice.
Yeah. So we have a couple of Golden Age reprints as backups. The first is a a Grim Ghost reprint called Flight of the Vultures, and it was originally in Sensation Comics number 8 from 1942. It was written by Gardner Fox with art by Howard Purcell. And something to note about the Grim Ghost. I've read the story where this character debuts. It's Sensation Comics number 1, a reprint. And in the 40s, he was known as the Gay Ghost. And they have changed the name and the title on the masthead here to reflect the changing times. But yeah.
When was this?
Originally, it was 1942. Oh, the comic we're reading?
Yeah,
or this published?
72.
Yeah.
Because Flintstones had a gay old time.
Yeah.
So between 65 and 72.
That word entered the lexicon under a new meaning. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatevs.
Yeah.
I think anything that denotes a cultural shift is inherently interesting, and I like to talk about it when we can spot them, and that's kind of a glaring one. So.
Indeed. Okay. Man, they made a gay ghost character now. That might be fun.
Oh, like where the character was a homosexual ghost?
Yeah.
Okay. But would it be like an ugly stereotype, or?
I don't know. It's...
I mean, usually when they're like, if you make that the central aspect of a character, that tends to define them.
Right.
It's more interesting, like, hey, let's come up with an interesting character. Oh, and by the way, he's also gay.
Yeah.
That's more interesting. I like multi-dimensional characters. So.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't call him gay ghost because I'd think, well, he's mostly ghost. He's a little bit gay. No, but he's the grim ghost here.
Yeah,
Oh,
and again, like most ghost characters, I have a hard time giving a crap.
yeah, the ghost of this, I guess, 18th century English nobleman or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's kind of witty or trying to be, and I don't know. So this guy is a pilot, and he's drinking, and he's gonna fly this plane full of people, and this other guy tries to stop him because he's drunk, and they fist fight, and the plane crashes. Everyone lives, but the first guy, Blackie, he cannot fly planes anymore.
Right. And so he's drowning his sorrows and somewhere, and somebody crooked tries to get him into some like weird racket of flying planes for crime or something.
Yeah.
Which is
No.
stupid.
No. Actually, Collins, who is the blah 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 ghost, he's.
I mean, it is the gay ghost. I mean,
He sees Blackie.
yeah.
And Blackie says, "Oh, I don't fly too much anymore. So, oh, you must." And the grim Blackie thinks that Collins is out of work, so he offers to put him into air pirates type gang. And I don't understand. So they fly around and they shoot down or force down airplanes carrying gold and all that. And how could that work? You'd have to have. I mean, you have to fly them down. You have to find an airport.
Yeah.
Then you'd have to take the money
It's
off.
a logistical nightmare. Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, I struggle to care about all these aviation stories.
Yeah.
But because we've read some Golden Age stuff where like, oh, somebody's a pilot. Oh, groan. Yawn. But you know, in the first half of the 20th century, I mean, aeronautics and aviation was like such an exciting thing, and people just ate that crap up.
Yeah. The biggest hero, the American hero of the 20th century was Charles Lindbergh.
Right.
And he was a vicious practical joker.
Yes.
Yeah.
And probably the only conspiracy theory that I believe in is the one that he actually set out Bruno Hauptmann as a patsy, and that he dropped his own baby on his head and came up with the kidnapping
I don't
thing
think
to cover it up.
I agree that he was playing some practical joke about hiding his baby, and actually he had done that before. He put it in a hamper, which is okay. But he would do stuff like put a poison snake in someone's bed and stuff like that. It's really amazing stuff. But I think Bruno Hauptmann was just accidental killer of it. It was accidentally found, and they got him. And I don't think that Charles Lindbergh said, "Hey, let's put this guy in." But I think once Hauptmann was captured, he didn't help Hauptmann at all, and he probably helped put him in the electric chair.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It is about the only conspiracy theory I believe too. Although probably it's wrong, but Hauptmann did not get a good trial.
No, and the whole crime scene and the investigation was tainted by the fact that because Lindbergh was the great American hero, they let him be around and evidence be contaminated. And it was the way that they allowed for him to be around during the investigation and to tamper with things. It just doesn't sit right. I mean,
you wouldn't let nothing against Lindbergh. Well, maybe in this case, but it doesn't matter. You don't want the investigators should be set apart from the victims.
Yeah.
Because the victims have been victims, and they're worried, and they're going to mess up the investigation.
Yeah, and so really, I think because he was the great American hero, he had time to come up with something to cover his ass.
Yeah.
And the kidnapping and was that thing.
Yeah. You don't have heroes. There's never going to be a hero where there's going to be a dance for Lindy.
Sure.
Or
And
something
there will
like that.
never be another Admiral Byrd. You know, it's
Yeah, it's kind of sad. That's what.
yeah, but I mean, these things change.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah.
I mean,
well.
there was a time, you know, those characters or those guys became these huge international, heroes
Mm-hmm.
because they were doing great things at the dawn of mass media.
Yeah.
That it was a coming together of things that we'll never see again. It was the right set of folks and the right set of circumstances and invention coalescing.
Yeah. We had
That
heroes
defined the
before
time.
them, but I mean, Alexander the Great.
But we think of them in like centuries later. We look back on them and like, wow, Alexander the Great.
They were considered heroes then too. I mean, but nothing like the early 20th century ones.
Yeah.
Now that's over. We really don't have heroes. We have pop stars and
Sure.
stuff like that, but they don't do anything heroic.
I mean, it's as far as when I look at human history or even American history, the 20th century is the one that fascinates me the most because it's like the crux of Western society.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, well. Okay.
the turning point. You know.
So, okay. Getting back to the air pirates. They
Wow,
got
I know that was a
uniforms.
big tangent we got on.
I know, yeah, it was. So they take this girl. They shoot Collins. They take his girl. So Collins turns into the ghost and sets the girl free, and she clangs somebody in the back of the head with a wrench.
Yay!
Yeah. So okay. All right. So.
And so the air pirate ring gets busted up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Nah. That's stupid. Hey, the ghost takes his rapier and sticks somebody in the behind, which is I actually laughed. So.
Yeah. So we have another Golden Age reprint as a backup, and it's an Airwave story.
Mm-hmm.
Big groan.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of us really likes Airwave.
I don't know any. I don't think I've ever looked at anyone except this one. And
We've read several Airwave stories.
have we?
Yeah.
Was he that forgettable?
Or just that lame.
Yeah.
Like, I realized in the 40s, wow, radio is really neat,
Mm-hmm.
but it's such a dumb thing to have a superhero be centered around.
Yeah. I wonder what's done now that we think is really cool. Some superhero type thing. I don't know. Like there's Radio Flyer. The Dragon. They call it Radio Flyer because that's a cool name. Then
Yeah, because radio was the thing.
Then
Yeah.
there's Atomic this, Atomic Dumb, Atomic stuff like this, and then
The only thing that comparable that I think of that's kind of corny is when the internet first came out.
yeah,
There was a pair of movies that were like thrillers, kind of based about like stuff on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
like Virtuosity and The Net,
yeah,
and then a few years later there was a horror movie called Fear.com,
yeah.
and that whole thing is just super lame.
I don't know if you can recognize them until they're gone.
Yeah,
I think we probably see something
because when The Net came out,
Yeah.
I remember like, wow, this was so exciting because the internet was such a new thing. It was a
Yeah.
new frontier.
Mhm.
But once the frontier becomes passé or it's just so commonplace,
Yeah.
there's no thrill there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the trouble with Airwave. Like,
Yeah.
wow, the radio. He's your grandma's favorite hero.
Yeah.
Like the Airwave. Don't mess up with
Yeah.
the Steve Harvey show, or what is that? Not Steve Harvey. Fred Harvey. The old guy radio person. He's dead now.
Oh, I can't think of his name. But yeah, Steve
know-
Harvey does the new family.
Right.
which
Right.
is rather funny.
But I'm trying to remember this guy.
And the rest of the story. I can't think of his name. I loved him though. He's really great.
Yeah. But he's like the octogenarian's favorite.
Yeah.
That's
my favorite too.
I can't remember his name either. So.
Oh well.
But anyway, this Airwave story is called Underworld Jam Session,
Mhm.
and it's a reprint from Detective Comics number 88 from back in 1944, with art by George Roussos.
To go back to our tangent, do you think there was a Captain Slice Bread? right? Back in
No, I don't think so.
But that was something amazing. So, if you ever had a sliced bread, you would appreciate free sliced bread. Jam session. I was surprised to see it's a old term.
Well, right. I mean, jam session. They're like kind of like it's the 40s. Jazz and big bands are still a thing.
They had music back then.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
But also, jam as in jamming airwaves signal because he
Yeah.
travels through radio
Not
waves.
a bad pun, and but the best thing about this thing, although there is a cool lighting effect on the warden who's let this bald-headed villain out, who of course went out of prison, and of course he went to radio school in the prison.
I
So-
think male pattern baldness might be like the greatest source of criminal behavior.
Shut up. Yeah. I'll get my revenge.
Calm down, Fire Truck. Fire Truck.
I'll get my revenge upon the hair pull. You'll weep.
Yeah, I mean, just like, just get everybody in prison hair plugs and then they'll go straight,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Airwave, I don't understand him at all. He's got a radio, and he can ride airwaves or something?
Radio waves,
Radio waves.
yeah, which is lame. And it's so funny because they resurrected the character in the 70s during the CB craze,
Oh, God.
and made him, the original Airwave is like the uncle, or the great uncle of Hal Jordan, Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And then, so his nephew or something that has the same name, also Hal Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
is the new Airwave. And he was a kind of a kid, too.
Yeah.
Which is also lame.
Mm-hmm. Well drawn. This is pretty good drawing. They have the trope of the Golden Age. Bad guys getting punched out, and one of them will face the reader with his mouth open, tongue hanging out.
Yeah, you can
And
see that.
Batman does it a lot, and it kind of irritates me. This is well done here.
Yeah, and George Roussos did a lot of work also at EC Comics in the 50s.
Mhm.
Actually, he had a long career in comics, period. But yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, I guess we'll see.
Oh, how did Airwave beat the bad guy?
Oh, did you worry about that? I
No.
don't know how he did, tell you the truth. I'm just kind of... He just... With his fist. Duh.
Right.
Some kind of moron.
Yeah.
So,
Keep talking for a second,
Okay.
because I'm looking something up.
all right. As I said, well drawn. We see the bald-headed guy in prison again. He's really mad. Bah, I'll get Jordan yet. Airwave 2. But Jordan and Airwave are the same people.
Yeah. Oh, and
He's a DA. so-
Larry Jordan is the district attorney, and he's Airwave. What I think is really funny is Airwave doesn't have a mustache, and Larry Jordan wears a fake mustache
Oh.
to throw people off that he's the Airwave.
Shoot, is that really... Yeah, that's really stupid, because...
Yeah.
Oh, you drink some coffee. There goes your stash because of the heat from the coffee cup.
Right, it's pretty
loosens
lame.
the glue.
So George Roussos drew this story, and
He's good.
I know, but I have a story.
Mm-hmm.
I read in a pretty recent issue of Alter Ego, they talked about the artist who really originated the character, Lee Harris,
Mm-hmm.
and
We will not talk about him. I'm just kidding.
no.
I'm joking.
I'm not talking about just the artist,
Yeah.
okay?
Mhm.
And his art is very good. He and George Roussos were great friends,
Mm-hmm.
but Lee Harris went off to war,
Mm-hmm.
and George took over the series.
Yeah.
But George Roussos kept a picture of Lee Harris in his office,
Yeah.
and he tried very hard to maintain the style and
Oh.
direction of the book to honor his friend who had
And
gone
make
off.
up for his cowardice. Just
No.
joking.
Oh man,
No.
Roussos for
Nah,
not getting drafted.
Yeah.
But I thought that was a nice story, and
That is nice.
I think it's probably the coolest thing and most interesting thing about Airwave, just his character, because he's not a cool character. But
he is boring.
Yeah.
Man. That's what I don't know. Most of them are boring, but they're desperate to make another Batman and Superman,
and they're trying things. It's DC has a long history of doing this, throwing whatever at the wall and see what sticks.
yeah. What else can you do? And I don't. I don't blame them, and they sound like they're stupid, and so because sometimes stupid works. So
Yeah, I find though, I mean, outside of Batman and Superman, and and the characters of the Justice Society, DC's Golden Age stuff is pretty not too happening. I think the stuff that you'll see at Fawcett or MLJ or Harvey or many other companies that were publishing at the time are doing a lot more interesting adventure strips than DC. But DC was the first big company, and they stayed the biggest for decades. So
the crudity of Golden Age kind of gets me, and it makes me mad that I cannot like Golden Age more because it's stupid. I can appreciate an old film,
yeah,
and because the technology, the limits of the technology, and all that, but I can't get over that with Golden Age. Right? It's just, I mean, it prevents. I don't hate it. It prevents me from loving it.
Yeah, and I find that also art-wise, DC of the Golden Age probably one of the least impressive, just artistically, as far as folks that are in their stable at that time. Yeah. Now, amazing stuff in the Silver Age and into the Bronze Age, art-wise. Yeah. But the Golden Age, they're the pioneers, and the pioneers get the arrows. Yeah. In fact, I think most of the other companies publishing in that time had better artists. And unfortunately, the bulk of the Golden Age material that we've talked about on the show was DC.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some of the best comics artists ever were working in the pre-code 50s doing horror comics. Like you look at EC Comics, they had some of the best artists that ever worked in the field
too, man. They no bounds, no. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so we'll see you next time in the funny pages.